there, and welcome back to Frugal Days with Danina. If you're new here, you are so welcome. I'm glad you're joining us today. Today's focus is going to be on a food haul that I did that I spent $58.17 at Walmart, and I'll share a little bit more with you on that subject in a few minutes. But I want to welcome you. If you are new, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and start joining us every week on this frugal journey. My name is Danina, and I am an early retired teacher. I'm 56 years old, and I am documenting my retirement journey and my frugality, my daily life. Mostly I do a day in the life type vlogs over different subjects. The way that I choose my subjects is things that I enjoy watching on other channels on a regular basis, and I would like to start documenting those things that I do, that I consider to be frugal, or that helped me with my early retirement. One thing that all of us have to do, regardless of whether we're retired or still working, is we have to buy food. We have to have meals. We have to have something to eat. So I decided to do a grocery haul and then share with you the amount of meals I felt like I could get out of those particular items that I bought. I did meal plan. I specifically bought things that were for those meal plans. I normally eat all meals at home. Once a week I eat with friends, and I budget for that. And on the weekends I often eat with David, my partner. But other than that, most of my meals are pretty simple and they're at home. I'm going to be adding videos to this one that I have made throughout this food haul and meal planning and meal prepping journey to let you know how I did. But overall, I was able to get 26 breakfasts, 14 lunches, and 14 dinners out of just the supplies that I bought that you will see on the video. Now, I will tell you now, and it's mentioned later in the video too, that did not include coffee because I have a subscription for coffee. I also budget for that. It's separate from my normal groceries. It did not include milk because I had a good supply of milk and I wasn't going to buy more just to have it included on the food haul. I didn't buy condiments because I didn't need to. I keep those things in my fridge, and I think most people probably do. Same with seasonings: garlic powder, garlic salt, salt and pepper, onion powder, those type of things. I also usually have some chopped up onion in my freezer, which I think one of the recipes I made, I did use chopped onion from my freezer, but you wouldn't have to use onion, or you could use onion powder instead if that's what you had. So again, condiments, things I keep in my fridge, ketchup, mustard, those type of things, didn't buy those because I already have them on hand, and I usually always have them on hand. Seasonings that I always have on hand, didn't rebuy those just for the food haul. It's just the actual food that I made and the amount of meals I was able to get out of that supply. Also, I didn't film every single meal. I thought that would be really redundant, boring, didn't need to show you that. I did give you a lot of ideas for things you could do with those particular items that I bought. And then I did film the making of a few of those just to kind of show you what I did. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoy the video. Hi, welcome back to Frugal Days with Danina. I am coming to you today from my kitchen. I wanted to do a little food video for you. I did a food shop today with a couple of particular things in mind that I will tell you about shortly. If you're new to my channel, thank you for joining us. I am a early retired teacher. I'm 56 years old, and I am living on my teacher's retirement, which is similar to a pension. I've always been frugal, but being retired, and especially early retired, has forced me to be extra frugal. So I am having a great time figuring out where I can save money, where I can cut corners. And of course, one of those ways for all of us is looking at what we're spending on food, which I know is becoming more and more expensive all the time. But I heard something, or I read it recently, that said, think about when you're shopping, not just meal planning, but thinking about picking out 2 proteins, 2 to 3 veg, 2 to 3 fruits, and at least 1 grain, and maybe a treat thrown in there as well. So I wanted to see if I could do something like that on a budget. Here's Miss Chloe. She was in my video the other day, jumping up trying to catch a bug. She's one of my 3 fur babies. So with that in mind, the 2 proteins, the 2 to 3 veg, the 2 to 3 fruits, a grain or a couple of grains, maybe a treat thrown in, to complete your breakfast, lunches, and dinners for a week. Now, since I live alone, I really feel like the food I bought today is going to last at least 10 days, possibly 2 weeks for me. I'm pretty good at stretching food. Also, there's a couple of times a week when I don't eat at home that I plan for in my budget. If you've watched my previous videos, I've mentioned that on Wednesday nights I eat with some friends of mine at a Mexican food restaurant in the town where I live, so I budget for that. And then on the weekends when I'm with my sweetie, when I'm with David, we go out to eat. And usually I have leftovers that I bring home, which is another way I stretch food. I always try to order something if I'm in a restaurant that's going to at least give me another meal, if not 2 more meals out of what I've bought. So, keeping those guidelines in mind, I also wanted to try to stay within $50. I thought $50 is a good budget for one person for the week, maybe 2 weeks. I'm going to see how far I can stretch it, but definitely for 1 week. And keep in mind, this does not include any paper goods. I didn't buy any toiletries or paper goods. This is simply food. And I also tried to keep nutrition in mind as much as possible. A couple of things I bought do have artificial sweeteners, which I know are not the best for us. But I also want it to be something I like. I don't want to buy food that I'm not going to eat just because of the nutrition value. All right, so I am going to take a quick swipe and show you what I've got, and then we'll talk about what I'm going to do with it and what the prices are. All right, here we go. Potatoes, bananas, a bag of pears, a cabbage, oatmeal, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, carrots, tea, drink mix, all natural peanut butter, a carton of eggs, flour tortillas, English muffins, brown rice, fat-free refried beans, chicken breasts, green chilies and tomatoes, salsa verde, and some dry pinto beans. All right, so I spent $58.17. These are my breakfast, lunch, and dinners and drinks for the next week to 10 days. I'm hoping for 2 weeks. Now, sorry, I'm moving around so fast, just trying to make sure that you can see everything. All right, now, in all honesty though, coffee is not here, or milk. I drink coffee with milk every morning, but I have a subscription for coffee, so it arrives in the mail. So it was not included in this budget. I budget for it separately. And I did not pick up milk because I didn't want to buy more milk just for this video when I already have milk in the fridge. And I know a lot of you probably would already have milk in the fridge as well. Another thing I did not buy, I didn't buy any seasonings other than the salsa verde and the tomatoes and green chilies that I'm going to use because I already have seasoning in the cabinet, and I know most of you probably do as well. So I'm going to stop and turn this camera around, and we're going to talk about some meals. All right, for $58.17, here are the things that I'm thinking I can make over the next 2 weeks. And I'm sure there are many more combinations than this that you could think of as well. So after you look around at my food that I purchased, put in the comments if you see some meals I've forgotten. All right, for breakfast, I often have yogurt and cottage cheese, which is one of the reasons I purchased it, because that's something I eat regularly. Oatmeal is another one of my favorites, so I bought Quaker oats, just regular oats to make from scratch. I could also make some scrambled eggs and have some yogurt on the side. That would be a very protein-filled breakfast. I also could boil the eggs and have that with my oatmeal. I have those English muffins. That was my bread choice, my grain choice, that and rice. And I could have the English muffins toasted. I could put peanut butter on them to add some protein. I could scramble an egg or fry an egg to put it on one of them for the protein as well. I could also make just a bowl of rice. When I was little, one of my favorite breakfasts was rice with sugar and milk. I could have that, maybe with an egg on the side. I could chop up the pears. I bought a bag of pears. Pears are one of my favorite fruits. And they happen to be in season, which is another reason I chose them, because buying fruit and veg that's in season is usually cheaper. I could chop up a pear and have it with cottage cheese. I could make a breakfast sandwich with the eggs and the English muffins. I also bought a can of refried beans, and I do not mind eating refried beans with my breakfast. So I could have a breakfast burrito with the tortillas, the refried beans, the eggs. Salsa is another thing. Regular salsa I did not buy because I always have it in my fridge. All right, for lunch and dinners, I don't really differentiate between my lunches and dinners. I eat by myself the majority of the time. So anything I would eat for lunch, I might also eat for dinner. My proteins that I purchased were the bag of dry pinto beans. I bought a package of chicken breasts and a can of fat-free refried beans. With the chicken and the salsa verde and the canned tomatoes with green chilies, I make chicken verde in my crock pot. It's just a real slow cooked chicken that sort of just falls apart. It's sort of like you pull it apart with forks after it's cooked, and you cook it right in with those tomatoes and peppers and the green salsa. And it's just yummy. And that would be delicious in a rice bowl, the chicken and rice together, kind of a Mexican dish. Mexican's one of my favorite types of food. I could make little chicken tacos with those tortillas that I bought. I have a whole bag of potatoes here, and I was looking at the label, and I'm going to look at it again just to make sure that I tell you the right thing. These are just russet potatoes, and each potato has about 2 grams of fiber. You also might not think about potatoes having protein, but they actually have 3 grams for each potato, because you just generally think of potatoes as carbs, as a starchy vegetable. But they're actually quite healthy. They have several vitamins in them as well. I could shred up this cabbage, and I could use it in several ways too. I could have a nice big salad with the cabbage and the carrots, and it might even be kind of yummy with the pears chopped up in it as well. I really intend to use this cabbage with the chicken verde when I make the tacos or the burritos. I'll have the cabbage shredded. I like cabbage because it's cheaper than lettuce at the moment at my store, and it lasts longer than lettuce too. It's also really good in like a soup. So I might take some of the broth off of the chicken verde and make some of the rice and put the cabbage in it and have sort of a Mexican cabbage and rice soup with that as well. Something else I could have would just be a plain old bean burrito with the refried beans and the tortillas. I could just have a good old-fashioned peanut butter sandwich with the English muffins and the jar of peanut butter I bought. I could make an egg sandwich and make some fries with the potatoes in my air fryer. I could make a big pot of pinto beans and just cook them all at once, which is actually probably what I'll do. And then I can use those beans by themselves. I can put them on a burrito. I can put them in a bowl with the rice and a little of the chicken. I can make a scrambled egg and add some of the beans to it. That would be yummy. I can shred up the carrots with the cabbage and have that in my tacos as well. I also could shred up the carrots and the pears and the cabbage and put all that on top of a baked potato with some cottage cheese. That would be good as well. Even throw a little of the chicken in there if I didn't put the pears in. Now I know on a few of these items I could have saved a little bit of money had I bought generic or store brand, but I really like the brand of cottage cheese I bought. It has a lot of protein and it doesn't have a lot of extra ingredients. I also bought my favorite yogurt because that's my favorite flavor of Greek yogurt. I did buy generic in the tortillas and in the rice and in the eggs and in the refried beans and in the green chilies and tomatoes. Those are all generic. I did buy name brand iced tea. I can tell the difference. And the peanut butter I bought was pretty expensive. It was like $5, but it's just peanuts. It's just peanuts and salt, and I didn't want extra oil added in or any weird ingredients, so I paid a little bit more for that. The pinto beans are also generic. And the English muffins are name brand, but that's because they're the 100-calorie whole grain, and I prefer that as well. Because like I said, I'm trying to also keep nutrition in mind. All right, so that wraps up my grocery haul for today for $58.17. I'm going to see what I can do with this for the next 1 to 2 weeks. I'll be making videos and showing you the meals I make and then referring back to this video for what I bought and how much I spent. I think I mentioned my drinks, but I'll mention it again just in case I didn't. I drink, most of the time, all I drink anyway is iced tea, water, or coffee. So I bought name brand tea bags, which I buy every week anyway. And then I bought the Crystal Light Peach Mango drink mix because I like to make a big old glass of water and add that to it. And I know it has artificial sweeteners, but I love it. So I don't drink it every day, but probably once or twice a week I do drink that. Most of my drinks every day are iced tea, water, or coffee. All right, thank you for joining. I hope if you have enjoyed this food haul that you will click like and that you'll subscribe to my channel. I am brand new to YouTube. I'm an early retired teacher. I'm just getting started with my channel and I am learning as I go. List in the comments what you do to stay frugal with your grocery shopping and your meals. Have a great day. All right. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to put on my chicken, let it cook throughout the day on low in my crock pot. I have added the chicken breasts. I have added the salsa verde, whole thing, just dump it in. I have added the canned tomatoes with green chilies. I happen to have some frozen onions in the freezer. I'm going to throw those in too. You absolutely would not have to do that part, or you could just season with onion powder from your spice cabinet. I'll probably sprinkle in a little garlic powder just because I like garlic in things, but those things absolutely you do not have to have. That's just a preference of mine, and since I have the onion already, I'm going to use it and throw it in as part of my frugal use what you have attitude in the kitchen. I will let you know how this turns out this evening. I will show you when it's done. All right, here's lunch for today. Leftover enchiladas, refried beans, sauteed veg, and I went ahead and made a little of the brown rice that I bought in my grocery haul in my rice cooker. So I've got about a half a cup of that rice cooked, and I have salsa in the fridge, which I've mentioned in my previous video when I did the grocery haul. I always have salsa in the fridge, so I didn't purchase any because that's kind of a staple in my house, and it looks delicious. All right, it is lunch time, and I am sauteing up some of the cabbage, some of the carrot that I shredded, and I had a tomato from my uncle's garden, so it was not in my grocery haul. I didn't pay for it, but it needed to be used up. And I mentioned in my previous videos that I have an uncle that lives next door, and he has a green thumb, and he grows delicious veggies and shares them with me, so I'm very lucky in that regard. I added a little onion powder, garlic powder. I didn't add any liquid, no oil or water, because the veggies have quite a bit of moisture in them already. So they're just sauteing in my nonstick skillet. I'm going to add those to my leftover enchiladas from last night's dinner that I had with my friends, because as I mentioned, I eat out on Wednesday nights with my friends, and I always bring a portion home. So I'm going to have that with some of the refried beans I bought and these sauteed veggies for lunch. All right, this is supper. This is my chicken verde. It has been cooking in the crock pot all day on low. It has chicken breasts, onion, tomato. I threw in the rest of the carrot, that I used at lunchtime. And it also has the salsa verde, the whole thing. It has Rotel tomatoes and green chilies that I bought in my grocery haul. This is one of the potatoes from my grocery haul. Just a little pat of butter. I also had that in the fridge. I did not buy more butter on my grocery haul. I assume most people already have their choice of butter or margarine in the fridge. Condiments and seasoning. I am just using what I have to go along with my grocery haul food.